Okay, what's going on, guys? Uh, we're live with another beat breakdown, you know. Another week, a lot more cool stuff going on. Just get adjusted here. All right. So, here we are, another week. So this week we're breaking down a Kid Cudi type beat that you guys voted for. The voting was pretty close this time. It was, I think this one started to pull away late, but we had a lot of voters this time. We had a good amount, and about like a little over 50% of you wanted this beat, so here we are breaking it down. Um, yeah, we'll go right into this thing, but I just want to say, like, like I do at the start of every video, if you're not already following me on Instagram, please give me a follow because that's where I do all the voting stuff. That's where everything takes place. If you're going to like want to be a part of the voting, or a part of any of that stuff, that's where you're gonna have to go. Uh, and yeah, so like today I'm just gonna be teaching you how to make how I like made this Kid Cudi type beat. Now there's like a lot of details that I'll cover in this. Like it'll go from we'll go from just the sample or not samples, but the instruments that I used. Uh, so like go through the different plugins of that, where you can get presets, different stuff like that. Then we'll go over like the drums and what kits I used for that. Looks like I used all the same kit for this one. And then I'll kind of go into like the mixing details of all of that. And yeah, talk a little about song structure as well, So with this one, when I originally made this beat, I kind of was like thinking in the mind of Man on the Moon 3. Um, so like when I was listening to that project, it's basically like when I was like making this beat. I was going through it and I was just trying to figure out, hey, does this beat like how can I make it sound like it's from that project? And a lot of the things that he did in that project were like playing with the hi-hats, making dark melodies and different stuff like that. So without further ado, let's get into this thing, So appreciate once again all the votes that came in for this. Like I said on my Instagram, just go down below, click my Instagram, and then vote. We vote every Thursday from 6 a.m. Uh, Pacific time till 6 a.m. the next day. So you have a lot of time to get that vote in and make sure your vote counts. So with that, I it was pretty interesting to me that the guitar beat didn't win because really like that beat I felt was pretty solid. And like I played my own guitar on that and had that one won, I would have actually broken out the guitar for you guys. Had to figure that out on live stream, so you're making it easy on me. But yeah, well just I appreciate your guys' votes and this has got what you guys clearly want to hear. So we'll go right into this one. All right. So today I'm going to be showing you how to make a Kid Cudi type beat. Yeah, just I'm going to show you this time, how to make a Kid Cudi type beat. All right. So first thing that I wanted to start off with is like to give it that Man on the Moon 3 vibes. I started with this organ. So with this organ, right, like it's just a pretty simple pattern. It's we're in the key of F minor, so this is a 3 chord to a 4 chord, I think. Yeah, yeah, 3 to a 4, because it's so C E G E G B, and then back to C E G for the little one. So it goes 1 4 or 3 4 3 3 1. So 3 4 3 1, and then this is I think this is 5. Yep. So 3 1 E F. So B would actually be so A. So it's 2. Okay, it's a 2 chord. So 3 4 3 3, or oh, I kind of played around with this one a lot. I think I think this is an inverted 1 chord. Yeah, that's what I see. So it's an inverted 1, so 3, 4, 3, 1. So 1, 6, you put a little 6 over the top of it, and then a 1 right here. So basically what the 6 means it's inverted, right? So it was already at the C below, or C sharp below, so that would actually make it D. So, oh, okay, no, never mind. So this is D F A. So this is a 6 chord. Okay, so that makes a little bit more sense. So it's actually 3, 4, 3, 6, 1, 5. Or, yeah, okay. 3, 4, 3, 6, 1, 5. That's basically the chord progression that I use for this. And mostly everything follows this pattern from this, so that's why I wanted to spend a little bit of time doing that. So typically when you're making melodies, you want to keep a lot of the same notes, or at least when you're making chords, you want to make a lot of the same notes. So like you want to go in here and like, so you see how like the E and the G are like a big part of this phrase, while the F and the A are a big part of this phrase, and many of the notes don't differentiate from that. That's kind of how you keep like the harmonics sounding right. That's how you keep everything together and just make sure that this is like, all right, this is just all sounding good together. Uh, then I layered this with a basically just, I think this is just an ARP. Yeah, so that that chord pattern is pretty much the same. I just skipped the little quarter notes right here at the end. I just keep it all the same, so it just goes 3, 6, uh, 4, or 3, 4, 6, 1. Gosh, I'm just having a hard time memorizing stuff today. Um, and then we had a lead that goes over the top of it that kind of follows the same notes. Oh no, this is the bass, not a lead. I'm sorry, guys. So this is a bass that follows the root notes, more or less. Kind of keeping in, like how I said, like wanted to keep right around that C and the E, and then the A and the G, but I used an F this time. So like. And so the reason I use this kind of like a Moog bass, it's like more of like a synth bass. I wanted to use that bass instrument just because to me it seems like a lot of the time in Kid Cudi Type Beats, especially on Man in the Moon 3, he used a lot of like Moog bass or like synth bass to just let the kicks hit over the top of, as opposed to using 808s. And I think he just did that because that's more of a stylistic choice, and some people like that opposed to that. Like Drake, he kind of used to like to do that uh, a lot with his like R&B stuff. A lot of like people like to use the Moog bass or like switch up to an 808 later. But like with Kid Cudi's particular project, with keeping this one in mind, this is just how I felt it would fit together. So the melodies together sound like this, and then we'll go into the plugins right after that. So. Okay, so you can kind of hear how that's like, it's got the dark melody, like that dark Kid Cudi, Travis Scott, Kanye West kind of like thing when they're all working together. It's got that dark element to it, but it's more Kid Cudi to me because it's just got that particular arpeggio to me just sounds like it's like right where it needs to be. Um, and then like you just got this wonderful bass pattern underneath that like just draws it out and makes it sound synthy and like it's supposed to be on man, you know. Yeah, so like let me get into the plugins now. So I used Omnisphere. This is a custom preset. This one's coming out in my Omnisphere pack. So this is going to be in my Omnisphere pack too. This is called the Soulful Organ. And it's, you know, it's kind of like a Hammond organ. It was pretty high pitched there. So yeah, that's basically what that that preset sounds like. But that pack will be coming out soon. Here's a little preview for you guys. Anybody that's watching the full video, this is what's gonna be in this pack. A couple of nice arps, some bass tones for you guys, couple of keys, couple of leads, couple of pads, couple of plucks, couple of just regular old synths, and some boxes. So lots to be expecting with that Omnisphere pack when I decide to drop it. I think I'm going to be dropping it here in the next couple of weeks. So when that pack drops, be ready. And then we also used this Dune preset. Pretty sure this is just one of the general presets that they have. It's called Angels Talking. It's supposed to be like a string. So it's pretty simple because I'm playing it on the keys right now. And you just layer your chords over that. And whenever you do like a pat, like if you're ever having like a chord progression, you're having a hard time coming up with a melody. It's just a little trick that I like to do personally. You like to like whenever I'm doing that, it's like I can't come up with a melody. I'm having beat block for whatever reason. I'll just layer an arpeggio over that, and then just make it like basically be the same thing. It's like the same chord progression at its core, but like because it's arpeggiated, it makes the notes all in the same key, so you don't have to come up with a good melody. You just kind of like play in the same chords that you already came up with. And if you follow that progression, it makes things a lot easier. And then for the bass, it's this so you can hear how it's kind of gliding. I wanted to have one that was gliding. So this comes from the Top Sounds Illusions Omnisphere pack. Um, recommend it. It's got a lot of cool sounds in there, especially this bass. Really like this Moog bass. So if you're trying to go for an R&B style thing, this is usually the one that I rock with. See how it has like that glide, that slow glide is just so like how a Moog bass sounds typically. So that's why I like to use that one. Next, let's get into the drums, man. Right into the drums. Waste no time. So basically all I did with this, like I'll start with the kick. I had it playing on here on my on my A sharp because to me this is like I don't know if it was this is what it ended up being in Edison or not. So I'll edit it in the audio editor, then I'll detect pitch regions. It says it's an A, but I think like I like put it on the A note, if I'm not mistaken. I kept that at C. But so I was just like I wanted it to be just a little bit higher than this, but still darker than C. So I put it all the way right here. And tuning your kicks are always something you can do to just like maybe like make them bassier, or if they're not quite sounding right, like okay, it kind of just sounds like a microphone tap. Then it like maybe you want to like make it lower or bassier because like not this every kick's not going to work for the same thing. It's like different kicks work for different beats, and if you're making a lot of different beats like I am, I mean you need to have a nice variety of beat like sample selections. So um but yeah, this is all from Bro Beats' Flex God kit. All of these drum samples. So if you like that, go give him a follow. He does some cool stuff too. Uh, so then I layered these two snares over the top, and like with I guess I'll say it plays that off the pattern. So yeah, so it's a pretty simple like kick snare pattern. Um, Nothing over the top with that. We're just hitting the snare on every offbeat. We're hitting the snare on every offbeat with this, so it's layered. and like because separately sounded like different, right? But I wanted to accentuate those two sounds together to make that. So it's like a combo snare in a way. So just like those two together make the better sound. And it's like sometimes I like to layer them like that. Sometimes I like to layer my kicks. Sometimes I like to layer my hi-hats. But specifically like that snare, I mean like layered together to me sounded like perfect for like what I was going for in this beat. And then I'll kind of go in here to the hi-hats, the initial hi-hats pattern. So I had to play this one in. So that Yeah, I had to play this one in on my keyboard here, just because I wanted to get that exact velocity. So you can see how it's so like varied. It's like they typically follow that like normal pattern that I'm talking about when I go on like the with the velocity. So the velocity is still there. It's like it's still like going up and it's going down like that just to like give it that bouncier feeling. But it's also like hitting at certain parts just to make it more of that Kid Cudi type beat. Because like he's got like a very like stylistic flow that kind of follows his hi-hat patterns, and like to keep that like repetition like into like what his flow would typically be. That's how I play it off of it. So like when you're listening for like, oh, I want to make a type beat for a rapper, listen to like the hi-hats very carefully, because that's usually where their rhythm comes from. Like that and like how their kicks hit are usually like, okay, this is how they're going to come in and flow because of what kind of direction the like beat is putting down for them, if they're that kind of artist. Like obviously, like you got to keep other things in mind. Like like maybe they'll like rap over a completely different beat with the same style. Like you know, everybody does, but like that, I feel like the hi hat pattern, like mixed with the kick, is really gonna like dictate where the beat goes. Because most people aren't gonna be too creative. Like their snares hitting on and off beat or something like that within rap. Uh, Not always though. Not always the case. Just for this. I'll also go in here to the other hi-hat pattern that I did. Now this one is my standard thing. So like typically when I'm looking for my secret sauce on my hi-hats, it's like this is how you make, like, for me, this is the secret sauce to making bouncy hi-hats. So grab any old hi-hat. For this one I'm using the Flex God kit. So it's typically would sound like this. I dropped it down. This is how you make like a nice counter hi-hat to your top one. If it's a high-pitched one that's like really rhythmic. So you're still getting that bounce with the alternating velocity, as you can see down below. And then you get a nice little roll here at the end. And that's just I think that's just a quarter step roll that you can just switch your quantize to quarter step, go over the top, and then hit Control U or Command U if you're on or half step, I'm sorry, not quarter step. So if you go to half step and hit Command U, that's how you get that roll. And yeah, that's how I made those hi-hats to kind of like play off of the top of those other ones. Um, so like together these hi-hats sound like this. So when they're sounding like that together, they kind of just play off of each other. Um, so yeah, all together, the drums sound like this once again. So yeah, that's basically like how you kind of make that like typical pattern for like the Man on the Moon 3 project that Kid Cudi worked on. To me, that like was something like specifically like kind of got the inspiration from like how like I think it's Tequila Shots, like how that pattern comes in for his second phrase. That one was like basically was like, okay, so he does like to do that in some of his songs. And I particularly like that most of the time is if you've watched my beat breakdowns before, you know I like to like either do an open hat or something else to like something in the higher frequencies to kind of break up the chorus just a little bit to like let them like so at least when I'm like rapping and stuff like that, I like to have the first 8 bars like repeat for the hook just so it's super repetitive and like catchy, and then like just have something different in there like some kind of breakdown within the beat just to make it sound like okay this is like really oh, this is like different. Even though I'm like hearing it, it's like, oh wow, he's kind of coming in again with some like a similar sauce, but it sounds different. And to me, that's like how you kind of like make the listener think they're listening to something different, even though they're not. Um, then yeah, I'm gonna play the beat out one more time for you guys, and then we'll kind of go into song structure and mixing. Okay, so one thing that you can do, so like I'll just go with the song structure here. I started off with a 16 bar opener because for me, with Kid Cudi, he really likes a slow building beat, like with the instrumentation and different stuff like that. Even when it's like one of his faster rapping songs, it seems like he likes to like a slow build. And so that's what I tried to create here with that. And then you go to 16 bar hook. That's pretty standard. Then I think I just did 16 bars for the verse. Or nope, I did. Yep, I did. Let's see. Might have done 32. Yeah, I might have doubled up on it because of the high tempo. So yeah, I doubled up on this to make it like 32. So it's a high tempo, so it's 180, so or 90. So I just wouldn't make sure that it was long enough. So if you were doing this in 90 BPM, this would be an 8 bar hook with a 16 bar verse, and then another 8 bar hook. And it's just I could keep it tight around the 2 minutes, the 2 minute mark, you know. With all my beats, I like to be right around 2 minutes so I can get like everything with the engagement and all of that I need. And most people are making songs that are only about 2.5 minutes most days, anyways, nowadays, because it's just a nice hook and a verse. Nothing too complicated about that. Now, when you're going in, here's kind of like the secret sauce to building, you know, song structure. Uh, you want to like go in here and you want to like make sure that you've got like space to build up. You've got a build into your bass before like so you can kind of like build up the from the drop, right? So that like this little 4 bar section, right? It's building anticipation before you get to the bass, before you bring the bass back. It's like okay, like you can like start rapping off fast, get your artist to like kind of go in on it, and then it's just like then the boom, bass comes back like that. And then more heads. So the goal is all about like building tension and like creating like new tension before everything comes back. So it's like you got to leave open space just for your artists to kind of like do their own thing. So it's like it like opens it up. Like you want to take things away, bring things back, and then really always keeping the tension in the verse. Because like even though like some of the coolest, most memorable bars come from the verse and not the hook, you want to like make sure that it's like the hook is still like the thing that like the audience comes in to the song for because they hear it more than anything else in the track, right? So I just want to make sure that there's a lot of tension building, and then when you come back in, that's where all the sounds are. And so with this one, I like kept the in the first hook just to make it different. I kept the backups, the backup hi hats away, and then brought them back like that in the first hook. And on the second hook, I just keep everything together because they hadn't heard that backup hi hat a whole lot in this, so they had a couple of breaks from it already. They didn't need to have another break, and then just a nice little 8 bar fade out with a little tail here at the end. Uh, so yeah, that's the song structure. Um, got some mixing tips here for you. Mostly like what I like to say is one thing that I like to do is trying to use samples that are already mixed if you can. Like if you're gonna buy a pack from somebody, don't buy a pack from somebody that doesn't have their drums mixed. Because like otherwise you could just make those samples yourself and mix it yourself the way that you like. Uh, so because like a lot of times I like go into the mixing section and I won't have any of my drums mixed. As you can see, it's like okay, so like I've got like different mixers on my presets if they weren't my original presets, or if I wanted to like make it sound unique for a particular song, one of my presets, I'll put more mixing on it. But I'll say this, if you like buy good samples like for your drums or whatever, and they're already like pre-mixed, there's not like a whole lot you can there's not a whole lot you have to do with that. And then it just comes down to leveling. And then like when you get down to your leveling section, you just want to make sure everything's balanced. And I've said this so many times, right? Like when I'm doing a song, you see this is how it peaks out. So you want it to be like right at the top, the bass is there, it's loud, and then you look at all this space. So from 125 all the way over to here, you can see the line right here, the 125 line to all the way over here. There's still all this space that the artist gets to fill up. And that's basically how I always like to talk about it. Um, uh-oh. Come back to me, FL. Don't crash. No. We're almost done. Come on. All right, hold on. I'll pull it back up. Okay, so like I was saying, um, yeah, you just want to have all this space right in here with it. You want to like make sure that you got all of this different stuff uh, with the mix. And now I'll kind of go into like with the Omnisphere stuff. Uh, so with uh with the organ sound, right? Without all these extra effects, right? It just sounds like a regular Hammond organ. So what I wanted to do is really like to do that. I used Isotope Vinyl. I'm pretty sure this is a free plugin. I put some. You gotta like edit the warp on it, and then you like I put like a little like you edit the warp model. So this one's just kind of like a reverse sine wave. So that when it warps down and you put some wear on it, you put some dust on it to like kind of give it that little pop. And then this is how much dust you can have. You can edit this on this knob. Just like you can hear little pops in the record, basically. So, and I wanted my organ to kind of sound like it was from the 1960s, so I kind of put it in that era where you can see, like, okay, here's the years. Kept the same rotations per minute, and then added some more warp to kind of like really like make it weird. And then I added EQ to give it that old telephone effect. And then I wanted to boost some of that more high end and take out some of the parts where it was peaking. And it was peaking right there, so it was starting to create a little bit of a rumble. So it's just kind of like, all right, I'm not really digging this. I want to like make sure that I take that part out. So that's just basically what I did. And like I'll like raise the gain so you can hear what I'm talking about. So it's like that warpedness is like really loud there, and then right here, you see how there's like kind of like a mechanical sound in there that doesn't really need to be in there. It kind of like messes it up. So that's basically what I was just doing with that. Now the rest of the mix, I put a little EQ on this Omnisphere. I think this was just because it was the bass, and I didn't think that the bass was really bassing, if you know what I'm saying. And then took down a little lower on this notch right here for the 7. Um, and we got that going. So yeah, just took off a little bit of the higher frequencies to kind of like make sure it didn't clash or like sound too like weird. It's sometimes like when you're like playing with the bass, the like higher frequencies would just not sound good like at all with the bass sound that you have. So you got to put a little bit of a filter on it. Um, then yeah, like that's kind of like tricks of the trade for me with this. Uh, yeah, so that's pretty much what I have for you guys today. Sorry about the crash. I know it's got to be better, but we got through a whole 30 minutes, and then it just decided to crash on me. So uh, I thank you guys for tuning in today. That's pretty much all I got. So like, make sure you guys are liking, commenting, and subscribing. Uh, Make sure you're like, dropping me some follows on Instagram, and make sure you're keeping in tune with me. What beats do you guys want to see? What do you want to like have for the next breakdown? I appreciate you guys tuning in, and thank you.